Socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers. Socio-emotional development has something to do with the development of a person's ability to master one's emotions and the ability to relate to others. The first 3 years of human development is considered the formative years. That is why parents and other caregivers at this stage of human development play a significant role in the development of infants and toddlers. So we go to the elements of social emotional development. First is the attachment. Attachment is the ability to form emotional bonds and empathic, enjoyable relationship with other people, especially close family members. Tendency to seek and maintain closeness to a specific figure, particularly during stressful situations. So dito natin makikita na yung bata, pag hindi siya komportable sa taong humahawak sa kanya, umiiyak siya. Okay? It is the element of socio-emotional development, that is attachment. So, Dr. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, discovered that the beginning of attachment occur within the first 6 months of a baby's life, with a variety of built-in signals that a baby uses to keep her caregiver engaged. And according to the study of Kathy Pasick and Roberta Galinkoff of 2003, the key to a good start in the social development of the baby is a lot of responsive interaction with the baby. So, mapapansin natin na kung medyo tahimik yung ina, so paglaki din ng bata, tahimik din siya. Kasi the starting niya, walang masyadong a lot of responsive interactions na naganap. Okay? From the book also of Einstein Never Used Class card, what is absolutely central to baby's emotional well-being is not so much feeding, but the consistent involvement of caregivers. So, dito po tayo mga Pinoy, um, masyado tayong involved when it comes to feeding the baby, right? So, pag umiiyak si baby, uh, binibigyan kaagad natin ng food or ng milk. But ang kailangan pala ng baby is a lot of consistent involvement galing sa nagki-care sa kanya or yung mother or yung yaya niya. Okay? Next, socio-emotional development element is the temperament. Okay, it is a word that captures the ways that people differ, even at birth, in such thing as their emotional reactions, activity level, attention span, persistence and ability to regulate their emotions. So, ano ba tayo, paglaki, ill-tempered ba tayo? So, may mga problema na tayong naranasan nung baby pa tayo. Okay? If we have the difficulty, no, to control our temperament. Okay? There are 9 categories of temperament, and that is according to Thomas, Chess, and Birch. Okay. First is the activity level. Some babies are placid or inactive. Parang dead ma lang, parang walang nangyari. Okay. And other babies naman, they trash about a lot of as toddlers are always on the go. So may mga baby na parang wala lang kahit masyadong malikot yung iba din sobrang behave. Okay? Then the mood. Some babies are very smiley and cheerful. Others have a low-key mood and look solemn or unhappy. So as you can see in the picture, no, may mga baby na palatawa. Meron din mga baby na kahit piniplay na natin sila, parang dead ma lang, parang malungkot tingnan. Okay? Next is the threshold for distress. Then when we say threshold, parang yun yung limit nila. Okay? So some babies are very sensitive, gets upset easily. Others are more comfortably wait when they need a feeding or some attention. So yung iba, parang very sensitive. Yun ding iba parang wala lang, they can wait until they are fed or they are given some attention. Okay, so to continue, next category is the rhythmicity of children. Some babies get hungry or sleepy on a fairly regular and predictable basis. So, alam natin na pag ganitong oras, matutulog na yung baby. Okay? May schedule, parang schedule yung mga sleeping hobby nila. Okay? So other babies naman sleep at varying times, okay? Hindi natin mapipredict kung sleepy ba sila nung ganitong oras na to or not, okay? Urinate or have bowel movements at unpredictable times. Okay. Next is the intensity of response in each baby. When a baby's threshold for distress has been reached, some babies act reckless, okay? As you can see in the picture, parang nagwawala na sila, okay? So when they reach that limit sa distress nila, parang hindi na sila nakakakontrol, yung tinatawag na natin na nagtatantrum na sila or nagwawala na sila sa galit, okay? Next is the approach and withdrawal. Some infants are very cautious. They are worried and fearful of new teachers. Other infants approach new persons and new activities with zest and enjoyment. So yung iba takot for a new persons na nakikita nila. Yung iba din is they are happy or they are enjoying the moment. Okay? Next is the distractibility. Some can concentrate on a toy regardless of surrounding bustle or noise in a room. Others get easily distracted. Yung iba, kahit na maingay sa labas, focus lang sila sa kanilang paglalaro. Yung iba naman, easily distracted. Okay? Next is the adaptability of each child. Some react with a new situation with distress. Yung parang OA yung mga reactions nila, no? When some distressful event, okay? But recover fairly rapidly. Others adjust for a long period of time. So, pag may mga stressful na mga event, yung iba parang nakaka-adapt kaagad, yung iba naman is longer yung period na makaka-adapt sila in a certain situation. Okay? Next is the child attention span. Some children have a long attention span, others flit from one activity to another. So yung iba, focus lang sila like reading so they can have longer attention to that reading. Ang iba naman is paiba-iba yung mga routines nila, yung gusto nilang gawin sa kanilang activities as babies. Okay? Now, there are three basic types of baby's temperament, and that is according to Alexander Thomas and Stella Chess. Okay, so we have here the easy child, difficult child, slow to warm up child. Now let's talk about the easy child. Easy child, it means they are easily readily establishes regular routines, generally cheerful and adapts readily to experience. So as the uh, it describes know how is an easy child behaves. Okay. Next is the difficult child, irregular in daily routines, slow to accept new experience, tends to react negatively and intensely to new things. Okay? Next is the slow to warm up child. Show mild, low key reactions to environment changes, negative in mood, adjust slowly to a new experience. So, as a parent, so we can know that this child or this infant is an easy or a difficult or slow to warm up child according on how they behave. Okay, the development of emotion. So there are three. Okay, we will just talk about these three stages. No, next, first is the early infancy, that is birth to 6 months. Okay, so 6 to 10 weeks, a social smile emerges. Okay, so parang ngumingiti na si baby at 6 to 10 weeks from birth. Okay, usually accompanied by other pleasure indicative actions and sounds, including cooing and mouthing. Yung cooing, parang gumagawa na sila ng mga sounds or murmuring sounds. Okay? Next is the latter infancy months, that is 7 to 12 months. During the last half of the first year, infants begin expressing fear, disgust, and anger because of the maturation of the cognitive abilities. Okay, so in these months, parang nagsushow na ang baby na natatakot na siya, or nagagalit na siya pag hindi kaagad na feed or hindi kaagad na meet yung mga needs niya. Okay, that is because nagmamature na din yung mga cognitive abilities niya. Okay, and there is a separation anxiety. Okay, kung ma-observe natin yung 7 to 12 months old na baby, iiyak na yan pag binibigay sila doon sa stranger or yung taong hindi first met pa nila. Okay, so that is separation anxiety kasi um, nasasanay sila sa kanilang mga mommy or kanilang mga caregivers. So, pag nakita nila yung mga unfamiliar faces, okay, or unfamiliar places, natatakot sila. Okay? Next is social referencing. Infants begin to recognize the emotion of others and use this information when reacting to novel situation and people. So for example, the baby knows when the mother is frightened. Okay, nag-o-observe na sila kasi yung bata, nag-o-observe na sila sa kanilang mommy kung ano yung reactions ng mommy nila pag natatakot. Parang, ganito pala ang reactions pag natatakot. Okay? Next is the toddlerhood years, and that is 1 to 2 years old. Okay, infants expresses emotion. Okay, infants expresses emotion of shame or embarrassment. Okay, next is the emotional understanding. In infancy, children largely rely on adults to help them regulate their emotional states. Kasi wala pa silang alam sa life. Okay? So they rely on adults. Okay? In toddlerhood, children begin to develop skills to regulate their emotions with the emergence of language, providing an important tool to assist in this process. Okay? So empathy, that refers to appears in toddlerhood. Okay, so empathy, parang makikita na natin yan sa toddlerhood stage. Okay? It requires them to read others' emotional cues and take perspective of another person. Okay? So we go to the Erickson's psychosocial theory, infants 0 to 1 year old, we develop hope. Okay, so there is a trust and mistrust. So in trust, kung namimit natin ito below, so we develop the trust of the baby as he grow older. Okay? Pag hindi naman, so yung na-develop natin sa kanya is mistrust. Okay. Trust. Let us talk about trust. Parents expose child to the warmth, regularly, and dependable affection. Okay, pag namimit natin yan, okay, so most probably, trust din yung mabibuild natin sa baby. Okay? When we satisfy basic needs like food, comfort, and affection, and others are dependable and reliable. In mistrust, here, we fail to provide a secure environment nor meet basic needs. So parang wala silang ma-develop natin sa kanila yung ma-develop sa baby yung mistrust. Okay? Others are neglectful or perhaps abusive. No? And world is undependable, unpredictable, and dangerous place. Okay? So in toddlers, 1 to 2 years old, we develop the will. Okay? Autonomy versus a shame and doubt. When we develop this, then the child, we develop autonomy. That is the sense of being able to handle problems on their own. Okay, so when the parents explicit patience and encouragement and encourage self-sufficient behavior. So when we show this behavior or attitude to the toddler, then most probably ma-develop din sa kanya yung autonomy or sense of being able to handle problems on their own. In the contrary, restricted parents demand too much too soon, early attempts at self-sufficiency, then most probably shame and doubt ma-develop sa toddler. Okay? What toddlers and infants can do socio-emotionally. Okay? So we have the different domain. The first domain, social and emotional development. So subdomain emotional expression. Okay? So standards 1.1, the child expresses different basic emotions. Okay, so 0 to 6 months. Cries, an infant cries in different ways to express different needs. Okay, like hungry, sleepy, wet, etc. So, yun lang yung alam niyang emotional expression. Crying lang, okay? Or shows excitement or pleasure by moving arms, kicking, moving the entire body, and the face lighting up. Especially kung makita nila yung mommy nila or yung daddy nila from work. Okay? So they're moving their hands, kicking their feet. Okay? Kasi they feel pleasure. Okay? Smiles or laughs in response to a pleasant experience. For example, nilalaro natin si baby. Okay? So tatawa din yan at tsaka mag-smile. Okay? Next is shows fear and hesitation towards unfamiliar persons. Okay, so yun, iiyak ang baby pag hindi niya familiar yung tao na humahawak sa kanya. Okay? So at 7 to 12 months has a favorite toy. Okay? So um may paborito na siyang laruan in this 7 to 12 months. And then 13 to 18 months, that is 1 year to 18 months, smiles, laughed when happy or amused, okay, cries when sad, angry, or scared, shows varying degrees or intensifies of various emotions. Kasi may ano na sila, may referencing na sila this time. Okay, so alam na nila yung reaction pag nagagalit, alam na nila yung reaction pag in fear, okay? All right, so standards 1.2, the child demonstrate ability to regulate feelings, emotions, and follow schedules, as well as rules and regulations. Okay, 0 to 6 months, stop crying almost immediately when need is met. Okay, pag gutom si baby, tapos pinadede na siya, so tatahan na yan, okay? And then eventually gets used to an irritating experience like honking horns and calm down. So kaya may mga ano tayo, may mga laruan tayo na maingay para sa baby. So nagiget used na sila sa mga laruan na yon at saka nagka-calm down sila. Okay? Next is 13 to 18 months, able to stop on undesirable behavior or activity when instructed to do so. So, so dito na natin ah, parang maintindihan na nila yung no. Okay? Or that's bad. No. Okay? So they can able to stop, okay, such behavior. Okay, can calm down or stop tantruming with help from adults and can follow simple rules. Okay, kasi may ano na sila, nakakaintindi na sila this stage. So 19 to 24 months can wait on his or her turn, tries to control his tears when in pain or scared. Okay? And shows ability to contain one's expression of anger or frustration in a public place when asked by a parent or caregivers. Kasi nga, this age, nakakaintindi na sila. Okay? Next is standards 1.3. The child comprehends and displays self-appraisal emotion, that is shame, pride, and guilt. 7 to 12 months, smile or claps his hands when she or he displays a learned behavior. Okay, like close open, tapos napi-pleasure na sila. Okay, parang nahahappy na sila kasi may natutunan sila. Okay? Eventually gets used to an irritating experience. Okay? And then 13 to 18 months recognizes and is able to label self-appraisal emotions such as shame, pride, guilt, envy, and jealousy. Will do something that gets him or her praise, like example, doing tasks properly, singing, kung ipi-praise sila, so they more likely they want to do that thing again and again. 19 to 24 months shows interest in doing things that are his or her own creation, says sorry when he or she has made a mistake or has hurt someone. Okay? Subdomain emotional receptivity to others' emotions. Standards 1. The child is receptive to the different emotions of other people and shows empathy. Okay, nakakaintindi na sila. Okay? 7 to 12 months can mimic people facial expression. So ginagaya na nila pag ano yung expression ng tao, ginagaya din nila ng face nila. Okay, 13 to 18 months demonstrate appropriate, acceptable responses to other people's emotions. Does not laugh at someone who is crying. Okay? So, parang inline na yung reactions nila kung ano ba yung emotions sa surroundings nila. Okay? 19 to 24 months identifies feelings in others, shows respect for rights and properties, example, asking permission, do not deliberately destroys others' things. Okay? Subdomain social emerging sense of self. Standards 1. The child expresses knowledge of self and basic rules of people in his or her immediate environment. 0 to 6 months express own body, observes hands and toes, responds to own name and turning to look or reaching to be picked when cold. Okay? 7 to 12 months, parang kilala na nila yung self nila. Pag tinatawag yung name nila, lumilingon na sila. Okay? 7 to 12 months identifies self in the mirror or photograph via patting or pointing his or her image. 13 to 18 months identifies what part of his body hurts by pointing to this. Okay? Like pag gutom, tinuturo yung tiyan. Pag masakit yung pag masakit yung puwet, tinuturo yung puwet. Okay? Kasi naa-identify na nila yung self nila or body parts. Okay? Shows respect for rights and properties, asking permission, do not deliberately destroys other things, calls family members by their nickname, rule, name like mama, papa, kuya, ate. Ask what he or she wants without hesitation. Okay? At 19 to 24 months, identify self by first and last name. Identifies what part of his or her body by naming this. Okay? So, kaya nga inaawit na dyan yung mga my toes, my knees. Alam na nila yan. Okay? Subdomain social forming attachment standards 1. The child forms healthy attachment to primary caregivers and adults and children in his or her life. Forming attachment. Okay. So 0 to 6 months shows distress, inability to eat or sleep, crying if the primary caregivers is not available. Yung hinahanap na nila yung mommy nila, hinahanap na nila yung tao na comfortable sila. Okay? So 13 to 18 months is affectionate towards primary caregivers and other family members, is comfortable in the company of strangers if primary caregivers is not present. So, parang nag-a-adjust na sila. Shows or shares food, books, and toys with other children. Enjoys playing regularly with significant adults and children. So, 19 to 24 months, plays with toys by himself. Okay, smiles in response to the facial expression of other children and shows preferences for some children and interacts more with them. Okay? Subdomain social interaction with others. Standards 1. The child plays and has a positive reaction with other children. Okay, 0 to 6 months will look at adults' faces and make eye to eye contact, plays peekaboo interactively with others. So at 7 to 12 months, the child hugs, pats, kisses familiar persons. Okay, we are talking here about the social, no, the child's interaction with others. Okay, at 13 to 18 months, friendly with stranger, but initially show slightly anxiety or shyness. Willingness does what familiar adults ask him her to do. Okay, appropriate uses cultural gestures of greeting without prompting. Okay, example, bless, mano, kiss. Alam na nila yung pag-bless, pag-kiss. Okay, subdomain social pakikiramdam or sensitivity. Okay, so standards 1, the child takes social cues from the environment and adjusts to behavior accordingly. Okay, for 0 to 6 months, is shy or more quiet with strangers. Refers to caregivers for cues about novel situation, people, or subject. Okay, for 13 to 18 months, usually quits down or steps when caregiver shushes him or her. Takes notice when there is a sudden change in mood of caregivers or people around him or her. Okay, for 19 to 24 months, if she or he needs something, can can wait quietly as told until a caregiver is able to attend him or her. Okay. Subdomain, social appreciating diversity. So standards one, the child recognizes and respects similarities and differences in other people, language, and culture. 19 to 24 months, able to differentiate between girl and boy. Treats house help or those less fortunate with respect. Okay, so we go to the milestone of physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional development process of the infant and toddlers. Socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers is from intra and interpersonal relationship. Intra meaning self muna before others. Intra is self and inter is when you relate with others. So intrapersonal relation is the develop of self, emotion, and gender identity. Okay, so that is intrapersonal. Interpersonal, on the other hand, relation has something to do with the development of attachment, friendship, and peer relations. So, uh, we go to the milestone, the age and the milestone. For the first year, from the start, babies eagerly explore their world, and that includes themselves and other people. Okay, so from birth also to 3 months, babies spend a lot of time getting to know their own bodies. Okay, they suck their own fingers, observe their own hands, look at the place on the body that is being touched, begin to realize she is a separate person from others, and learn how body parts like arms and legs are attached. Infants are interested in other people and learn to recognize primary caregivers. Most infant can be comforted by a familiar adult, respond positively to touch, interact best when in an alert state or in an inactive and attentive state, benefit from short, frequent interactions more than long, infrequent ones, smile and show pleasure in response to social stimulation. Okay, so 3 months to 6 months, babies are more likely to initiate social interaction. They begin to play peekaboo, pay attention to own name, smile spontaneously, and laugh aloud. Okay, so 6 to 9 months, babies show a wider emotional range. Kasi may reference na sila. So, and stronger preferences for familiar people. Okay, so dun sila comfortable sa tao na yun. So, they prefer to be with them. Okay, most can express several clearly differentiated emotions, distinguish friends from a stranger, responds actively to language and gestures, show displeasure at the loss of a toy. Okay. At 9 months to 12 months, as they near age 1, imitation and self-regulation gain importance. Okay, most babies can feed themselves finger foods. Okay, hold a cup with 2 hands and drink with assistance. Hold out arms and legs while being dresses. Mimic simple actions. So parang gumagaya-gaya na sila, right? Show anxiety when separated from primary caregiver. For 1 to 2 years, children become more aware of themselves and their ability to make things happen. They express a wider range of emotions and are more likely to initiate interaction with others. And at this stage, most children recognize themselves in pictures or in mirror and smile or make faces themselves. Okay. 1 to 2 years show intense feelings for parents and show affection to the other family members. Play by themselves and initiate their own play. Express negative feelings, show pride and pleasure at a new accomplishments, imitate adult behavior to play, show a strong sense of self through assertiveness, directing others. Okay? Begin to be helpful, such as by helping to put away. Okay? 2 years to 3 years, children begin to experience themselves as more powerful, creative doers. They explore everything, show a stronger sense of self, and expand their range of helping skills. Self regulation is a big challenge. 2 years old are likely to show awareness of gender identity, indicate toileting needs, help to dress and undress themselves, be assertive about their preference, and say no to adults' requests, begin to self evaluation and develop notions of themselves as good, bad, attractive, etc. Shows awareness of their own feelings and those of others, and talk about feelings. Okay? Experience rapid mood shifts and show increased fearfulness. Example, fear of the dark. Display aggressive feelings and behavior. Okay, so that would be all, and I hope you learned something from this video.